Short-staff cleaners but you want it clean? I heard this story at a union conference about 5 years ago. It was presented as one of the union victories for the year. There was a company who employed around 20 or so cleaners. The award agreement for the amount of cleaners worked by square feet of floor space, number of toilets, number of hand basins, number of staff kitchens, bins, etc. Both union and management had got to the same number and the staff were worked fairly. After a couple of years, new management take over and stop using casual cleaners for backfill for leave, etc. This means each day they are basically short staff, not making the agreement terms than a couple staff leave and not replaced. Management start complaining that the place isn't up standard and customers had complained. They threaten the staff with punishment, etc. One of the cleaners calls the union and union calls an industrial dispute with the employer. In the dispute, the employer has nowhere to go on this. The award spells out the formula for staffing and the union basically say if you don't like we will take you court and you lose after spending a heap of money. HR argue but basically agree to employ more staff and put some casuals on. They say, well, it may take a few weeks to advertise and interview, etc., so you will have to be patient. There was a real feeling that they were not going to try too hard. The union says sure, on these conditions: 1. You can no longer threaten punishment about work due to the short staffing. 2. You try your best to get staff. 3. That cleaners will clean only the amount covered by the award each day. 4. Any complaints to be given to the union, not the staff, during this time. The third point becomes the sticking point, but HR agree on the condition that cleaners make the customer side of the business a priority. It's agreed upon. The union leave with the distinct impression HR will drag their feet on employing new staff. The union goes to the staff and say what's happened, and the staff are unhappy about not getting staff immediately. The union organizer tells you only have cleaned so much space, so focus on the customer side of the business, and we ask you then not to clean any of the HR staff offices, tea room or toilets. The same goes for the executive staff area of any department manager's office. Don't even empty a bin there. Be completely compliant with the offer. So after a week, HR hasn't advertised or employed any new staff, but the cleaners report that all the office kitchens in HR and executive look untidy and the bathrooms smell a bit. Bins are filling up fast, etc. At the beginning of the second week, the union gets a phone call about cleaners not doing their work from HR. The union asks, is the customer side clean, and they agree it very clean. Well, the union says this is our agreement. Still, HR doesn't advertise for jobs. By the end of second week, the CEO asks the cleaners why the offices look terrible. The cleaners say ring the union. There is complaints coming from everywhere in the company about the state of staff, amenities, etc. And the CEO is unhappy. The CEO rings and organize a meeting with the union for the next day. By this stage, the executive office bins are overflowing. The manager's offices are dusty. The bathrooms are far from clean, and since no cleaner been in there, there is no soap or toilet paper. In the meeting, the CEO asks what's going on with your union members. The union organizer explains about their deal with HR and the short staffing. The union organizer state, we have been completely compliant with what was asked of us. The CEO claims he was unaware. The CEO is livid. HR is rang and asked to explain. HR gets blasted and jobs get advertised that day. A deal is struck for overtime for any cleaner who will clean the offices of the executives. The union had the extra staff employed within 2 weeks, plus a casual pool. Some of the union members picked up some handy overtime money too. Every meeting with the company after that was highly productive for the union and its members. This really is a fantastic pro-union story. especially since the agreements were negotiated in good faith. That's the point of collectively bargaining. Not to be exploited. Screw around and find out. HR should be in hot water for keeping the execs in the dark on this. I can't imagine how HR thought this would play out in their favor. This is why we need more unions. This would have come out very poorly had there not been a union to represent the cleaners. There's not a problem until management has a problem. HR is rang and asked to explain. HR gets blasted and jobs get advertised that day. I certainly hope there were some HR jobs advertised that day as well. I do not believe for a moment that HR was shorting staff without the CEO's permission and active encouragement. The exec team was playing chicken in the hope that the cleaners wouldn't actually work to rule. When it became clear that the union was holding strong, the CEO got to swoop in and heroically rescue the situation, which he had created. This is why you need to unionize, America. Bravo to you, union organizer, business agent. He has your back. That's the way you do it. I've been in a couple union jobs. Great gig if you can get it. They have pluses and minuses. But, as an employee they were great. The only truly bad thing about a union is if they push too hard for too long. The company might move to another state, country. It's nefarious. They don't move the factory. They open a second division in another country. Like McDonnell Douglas did in China. The union was mad. But the company said the Chinese factory only made a few parts for MD planes that China was buying. Little by little, the Chinese factory starts making more of the parts. Reverse engineering is not hard. Finally, China starts making the entire plane. But it's only for flying in China, and doesn't meet US/EU specs. Then, MD gets bought out by Boeing. And the Long Beach, Caliph, factory closes. I suspect MD was going to follow this plan whether the union was pressuring them or not. But, union pressure made it happen faster. This is why management and HR have to have skin in the game. Otherwise they have no motivation to do anything. Why unions are so important: they keep employees from being exploited. Reading this was the epitome of #feelsgood. In a typical business restroom, the toilet paper and paper towels are out in 23 days. I don't know how they lasted into the second week. I only dream about sticking it to the actual management of the company I am in dispute with. Love it. Don't want to take care of business? Suffer the entirely predictable consequences. This is nice. The customer service was not affected. Only the mean company staff was affected. Union. HR was definitely the Oz in this story. HR once again proving their worth. Like head of HR needs to be removed.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.